Hey, welcome to Street Level Spirituality. This is Hangin with. What I'm going to do is first do a little bit of an astrology overview, just to see what's going on for the holiday, for December primarily. And then we'll go into tarot readings for your personal sign right after that. How are you guys doing? I'm doing pretty good. Just been chilling and thought I'd make some videos for the holiday. So in the spirit of the holidays, we're going to pull an Edgar Cayce card for the overall reading. I did the first 4 videos, Aries, Gemini, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, and Cancer. And then I've been kind of working on my camera setup a little bit, and I rearranged it. So I'm going to go ahead and redo the beginning for the rest of the videos. But anyway, it's the same card that I pulled for them. What do you think about this lighting setup? I think it's better. I had the light glare in my eyes before, and now I redid it. I think it's more moody. Anyway, so our Edgar Cayce card, if you don't know who Edgar Cayce is, he was he's called the Sleeping Prophet, one of the greatest psychics of our modern time. Really interesting fellow. His material is very similar to Kevin Ryerson, who I have Kevin Ryerson's book. I read it on my channel if you want to check that out sometime. Really practical spiritual information, not all like super rainbowy and kind of ungrounded, but really grounded stuff about emotions and life and practicality and how to make the most out of being here when we're in the monkey suit. So anyway, the Edgar Cayce card for the month for everyone is, it's never too late to begin, even in an experience. For life and its experience is a continued and continuous effort. So anyway, so that's the card. And, you know, this has been the theme I've been noticing for the holidays in general with all these readings I've been doing. It's this idea that if we acknowledge ourselves as a spirit, as a spiritual being, then, you know, a spiritual being is not necessarily ever born, so it never dies. And in Gnostic teaching, they teach that, you know, that's kind of the resurrection. The resurrection occurs as we live and as we become aware that we're spirit beings, and as opposed to strictly identifying with the material and then having this feeling that kind of life is this arc, you know, it kind of comes up and descends, and we kind of lose our spirit in that process. You know, we get depressed, we only think about our mortality and death, and we don't really see opportunities on a daily basis, and we can kind of lose some of that pizzazz. So, you know, I like this. It's never too late to begin. So no matter where you are in your life, no matter how much you've been in a rut or stuck in any situation, you always have the opportunity, no matter what your age, to have that inquisitive spirit, because it goes from lifetime to lifetime. You carry that with you. You carry the curiosities, you carry the creativity and the exploration into refining a skill, or, you know, or whatever it is that your soul development is growing towards. So anyway, so it's a continued and continuous effort. So there you go. So today, in the spirit of the holidays, I just would like to promote the message of focusing on your spiritual nature, and that, you know, even though the physical body passes, the spirit body is here and eternal. So let's cultivate that spirit. Let's be curious. I'm doing that with these videos. I've really pushed myself to get back into this type of work and honor who I really am. And I hope that you're honoring yourself also, because it's really important to do that for your own well-being and as a gift to other people. So we can be gifts to each other in our presence. How's that for a holiday message? So anyway, so that's our general Edgar Cayce card for the day. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the astrological aspects going on out there in the world right now, or coming up for the next month, sorry. So we had obviously November had a pretty intense Mercury retrograde cycle. We had some really good, nice Neptune energy from Neptune around the 20th of November. And then as we're moving into December, we have Jupiter leaving Sagittarius and entering Capricorn, which is, of course, where we're going to have the big Pluto Saturn conjunction in January that we're ramping up to, which has to do with secrets being revealed in government, and anything to do with any kind of radical transformation of old arcane structures, This is, government, any, old structures within ourselves that are being broken down. Pluto's going in there and breaking it up. So it's a great time for everybody, but we might see some really big secrets come out in government and things like that starting at the beginning of the year. So Jupiter is leaving Sagittarius, coming into Capricorn. Now, Sagittarius is Jupiter's native home, so it's very much at place there. Not so much in place in Capricorn, but it's going to help this transformation that Saturn and Pluto are going through in Capricorn, because Jupiter is expansion and opportunity, and it can just bring a general sense of goodness around the situation. So that's really nice. It's nice to have that there. And then Jupiter takes about 12 months to transit a sign. So basically it's going to be transiting Capricorn. So if you have Capricorn aspects or are a Capricorn sun, moon, or rising sign, or even other aspects, but primarily those, you're going to notice expanded opportunity in those areas in your chart for the next 12 months. And then let's see. So those are changes in establishment, and Jupiter is going to help smooth that out. And then also, since Capricorn is very much career oriented, Jupiter is going to go in there and really smooth things out and create a lot of opportunities for career in the next 12 months. We have a full moon in Gemini on the 12th of December, and that full moon is aspected by Neptune, which I call Planet Hollywood. And I call it Planet Hollywood because Neptune is that imaginative mind that somebody might use to write a script. It can also be kind of a fantasy world, so you just want to be careful of any kind of deception. That's the shadow side of it, is people can kind of tell stories and kind of make things up, and they're not quite accurate. But on the positive side, this full moon in Gemini is also aspected with Jupiter. Jupiter's coming in and placing itself right between Saturn and Pluto during this full moon. So there's some other areas also, with regards of Venus being there, especially during the holiday, is, be mindful of shopping and your values. So before you go out there into the holiday and start choosing what gifts you're picking, is maybe get a little, touch in with yourself and ask yourself about your values. What do you value? When you're selecting gifts for people, are you taking the time to reflect on their current spiritual state? What could possibly benefit them most? And maybe you want to make something. Maybe you want to make a Christmas card. Take the time to do something a little more mindful. But Venus has a lot to do with values and also material goods. So just research your values a little bit, check in with yourself, and then go out there and choose gifts from the heart and that are beneficial to people if you want to. It's up to you. And then we have Venus moving into Aquarius on December 20th. And so that's going to be a lot of love. There's a general, for instance, for the Gemini full moon, there's like a lot of kind of chattiness and intellectual conversation and connecting with people and just kind of chit-chatting. So that could be a lot of these kind of company parties or Christmas get-togethers or family. Venus going to Aquarius December 20th. Aquarius is more of that group energy, that group mind. So a lot of love in the kind of the group area around other people and all that stuff. So everything's looking pretty good. I think there's a lot of really positive planets coming in between Thanksgiving and Christmas and the holiday this year. And then we have eclipses in December also. So it's the eclipses are doorways, or they're doorways in and doorways out. They're endings and beginnings. Everything looks pretty smooth, but we are ramping up again to that Pluto-Saturn conjunction in January. So just keep that in mind. It can be kind of like on a personal level, it can be kind of a breakdown of the things that have worked for us for a really long time, kind of those deep-rooted systems in ourself. And Pluto's coming in and saying, no, that's not appropriate anymore. It doesn't work anymore. Let's break this system down. Let's take the time to reevaluate it and restructure it. And with a little tug of war of Saturn's responsibility and So there's a little bit of a tug of war there. But anyway, so it'll just give us an opportunity to break down these old patterns that really don't serve us anymore, especially around career and anything structural like that. After December 20th, after Venus goes into Aquarius, we have the solstice on December 21st, and slowly the days will be getting a little bit longer. Longer. So anyway, so that's the kind of the astro forecast for now. And then let's get right into your personal tarot readings for your sign. Hey Virgos, welcome to your tarot reading portion of the video. I've been tuning into your energy quite a bit, and it's a little emotional for me on some levels, because as I tuned into it, I was looking at aspects of myself, and I really wanted to be honest about how to approach the tone that I'm picking up. And it meant me looking into myself and being honest in areas that I can really grow in. The nature of your reading is the King of Swords. And this is somebody who's worked really hard to achieve something and to kind of reclaim their throne, so to say. And the Swords is the mind. This is somebody who's reestablishing their personal truth and their own sense of personal authority. So for Virgos, you guys have been doing an enormous amount of work for a number of years now to reclaim your sense of identity. And I think it's a really powerful time for Virgos in the sense that you've gone through the hard work and now you're arriving to this new place. Your sense of authority is returning, and you're kind of back on top of your game. But now that you're back on top of your game, you need to kind of figure out what you're going to do with it. And with the Page of Cups in reverse, influencing this new, this kind of recovered authority, it demonstrates, now that you've reached this kind of peace and quiet on your throne, it demonstrates that you may be seeing that there's areas for improvement. So as we become more into center with our being, we can become very aware of areas where we need to improve ourselves. Sometimes patterns that have been around for a long time creep up, and we don't feel capable of addressing them right now. And the area where I found I could be more honest in this area is that, and I'm working on very, very hard right now, is, when I was younger, my dad was a semi-famous musician, producer, and my role model was that you make something of yourself, that you have a name for yourself, that you're somebody. And in my own career, I got into graphic design and brand development and video work, video production, things of that sort. And growing up with very little, I kind of had to create my identity to succeed. And I did Los Angeles, I did that whole thing, and did a lot of work around corporations and things of that sort. And then in my private life, I also kind of created somewhat of a persona around the music I make and things of that sort. And I found that the more that I worked to be somebody, the more exhausted I was. To the point where I just kind of gave up on that. And that was an example of a really difficult transition when that's all I knew. To give up the ego self it feels like everything's at stake, because it might be the sole focus of your identity, so to say. So slowly, I had to start identifying with other things. when I went through my initial big shift and found myself alone a lot as I kind of got rid of circles of friends and values that weren't really working for me. Initially, as I went through the initial bombardment of that and that shock and that sudden change, is I really focused on beauty. How can I create beauty in myself and in my environment, in my connections with other people? It gave me a sense of purpose to replace that. And slowly, little by little, I learned to appreciate the value of relationships, that nothing's taken for granted, that all relationships are gifts, and made by mutual consent, that nobody owes anybody anything, that nobody owed me anything. And I didn't really recognize that. So when we start working from that space, we can start to reestablish ourselves. Now, that may not be what you're going through, but what I'm seeing here with the King of Swords and the Page of Swords, the Page of Swords in reverse, is you may be coming up to a place where you're recognizing that you may not have the tools in place to immediately resolve some of these areas of improvement. So I want to congratulate you first on this enormous work you've done to first reclaim yourself. And I also want to offer some encouragement and patience in then moving forward into kind of starting to refine some of these details. And when I'm talking about spiritual growth, areas that we can really improve our relationships with ourselves and with other people. And usually the sign of the areas of improvement in regards to the spiritual self are issues of ego, in the sense of, are we taking or are we giving? Our relationships, are the things that we do in our lives, are we seeking to steal energy from others and situations? Are we looking to make things to our advantage? Or are we feeding off the beauty and the life force that we create for ourselves and how we take care of ourselves and the fulfillment of our own spiritual paths? So, me doing these videos is very much to do with me seeking my own spiritual path and trying to find an alternative to the lifestyle I was living before. I would say I'm very much in recovery in that sense. And when all the other doors closed and reached dead ends, I had to make a choice of how I was going to move forward. And, my kind of more psychic gifts, I've been encouraged for a long time from my spiritual teachers and for different reasons to get more in touch with. So that's a lot of why I do these videos. But anyway, so that's the general theme I'm feeling for Virgo right now, is that you're feeling more complete, but you're also feeling more of a deeper realization of your areas of improvement, and to be patient with yourself through this process. And some things we just aren't going to be willing to let go of yet. Some lessons maybe still need to be learned. Maybe some lessons still need to be learned in other lives. But life will definitely bring us to that place at some point. So just be patient and just keep focusing on what's important. Your value system, how you take care of yourself, and how you treat and the things that you say to other people. So anyway, I'm going to pull, that's just my intro. It's a little somber, I know, but it's something that's really important. And I really, would like the world to become a better place by us loving ourselves and each other more, and being more aware of what we're doing and the consequence of our behaviors. So this is my attempt at trying to help. So hopefully that helps in some way. I'm going to go ahead and pull an Edgar Cayce card for you. If you don't know who Edgar Cayce is, look him up. Super cool guy. Passed on in the 40s, but really brought a lot of beautiful information to help the world. The card I pulled for you is this one here. There we go. Here's your card. I think it stays in focus about here, maybe. Yeah, here. Here's your card. And it says, it's a picture of Stonehenge with a beautiful big star shining above it. Or maybe, I guess it's the moon, maybe. that would explain why it looks like a big star. It says, become a blessing to self through becoming a blessing to others. So I think that speaks to our modern culture in a lot of ways, how we're very self-focused, and we're taught that, you know, this personal pursuit of a personal conquest and this pursuit for self are the values of modern society, but ultimately we end up feeling lonely and isolated, and then all of a sudden we want to do something better. We don't know what. So become a blessing to self through becoming a blessing to others. Now I do this, again, this was part of my process of trying to redefine my life and my purpose from more of an ego focus to a spiritual path. And for me, you know, I do this for my children primarily are my main focus. And then my career second to that. Actually, I'd say career third, because I put this second because this is my spiritual work. And then my actual money paying career. Unless you guys want a reading, that always helps. Email me if you want a reading. You know, for me, it's, you know, it's my kids. I just think, and I really pull my own bullshit out of the way, and I'm really conscious, almost overly cautious about what I'm projecting on them, and always trying to think about where they're at in their spiritual development and what I can do to help support them in their spiritual growth while they're here on the planet. And also, the few friendships I do have that really are rewarding in my life is to try to take time to maintenance those, you know, and to maintain those. Just little thoughts of mindfulness. And, you know, what I found more and more recently is just really deep honesty, you know, being honest about your own limitations, what you're capable of, what you're not, the arrangements that you make with people, you know, what you can and cannot do. And just being honest, which is really the highest service you can offer to anyone, is to be honest. So anyway, so that's your Edgar Casey reading card here. And then so we have the nature of your reading here, King of Swords, and then that was influenced by the Page of Swords in reverse, which represents kind of those areas of immaturity or areas that we could improve. So here you are in your throne, and then you're kind of recognizing, like, wow, there's areas I've done a great job, but there's areas I can really do better. So, you know, I just think this is a really beautiful thing, because, you know, to be able to acknowledge this and to be able to come to these recognitions means you're listening, that you're getting in touch with your soul, you're getting in touch with your inner voice. I think that's really wonderful. Listening. Man, the world can really ask a lot of us and push us really hard. It's nice to listen and be gentle with ourselves. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish your reading here, and let's look at what's going on in the spiritual realms. Let's look what's going on in the subconscious realms, the material physical body, repressed memories. Let's look at what's going on in your immediate past, your future. Oh, I love this. Oh my gosh, wow. Your attitude, another wonderful card here. The environment around you, your greatest hopes and greatest fears, and the outcome. The outcome's fantastic. So, you know, I just see that you're really on track with this new direction, this new voice, and really listening, and you're recognizing that life is transforming and has transformed, and that you're seeing this new path, and you're getting little glimpses of these behaviors and these tendencies and these the way you structure your life. That it's creating a more fulfilling life, and probably most likely from not having it for a while or having a lack of something, you're really starting to value these little things, you know. So looking at your cards here, in the spiritual realms, is you're coming out of, you've had the aha moment, you've had the great vision has come to pass, and you're mentally prepared to move forward. In the subconscious realms, and this is what's interesting to me, as I'm noticing in your reading, is in your environment around you and your subconscious realms, there's still a lot of unresolved. So there's tensions, there's conflicts, and these may not necessarily be. I'm getting the feeling that you really need a massage, that you really need to take hot baths, that you need to move the body, and that there's muscular tensions which are really the root of these kind of more difficult growth aspects that are hard to challenge, that are challenging to overcome. And that by focusing on body work, by being present in your body, by having massages, by having baths, hitting the gym and really exhausting yourself and really working yourself out, that's going to start helping ease yourself into the growth in these areas that are more challenging. In your recent past, you have the Nine of Pentacles, which is a very beautiful card, a very feminine beauty. So you've kind of recovered the beauty in your life, so to say. And then you have the Five of Pentacles in reverse in the near future, and that's coming out of the cold. That's being received back into the world, being received back into your home. And I think that's really symbolic of you re-entering the temple of your own body, and reclaiming that throne, as I said. So that's really wonderful. I just feel a lot of somber rejoice for Virgos right now, and I think it's really beautiful. Your attitude in this situation is the Death card in reverse, and that's coming out of that transformation. And I think that's really wonderful. You're ready to move forward and out of that transformation. Your immediate environment is the Seven of Wands, and that's where you can feel like you're starting to fight obstacles around you. As you come into this new space, it redefines how you're interacting with your outer reality. And you may notice that the things that used to feel good around you don't feel good anymore. And you're coming to terms and starting to kind of move things around, but are still struggling. You may go out there in the world and interact with people you used to interact with, and it just doesn't feel good anymore. You might be recognizing that the world, the man's world, I should say, is not as pretty as it may have seemed, that some of the sheen, the varnish may have kind of worn on the way you look at the world as far as man's world, not the natural world or the spiritual world. Your greatest hopes and fears is moving out of these old patterns, and that you're able to continue this beautiful pattern that you've fallen into, and that you're not going to get caught up in obsessions and petty things of the material world that may still kind of have their hold on you a little bit. These can be any kind of addictions or obsessions, that you're able to move forward. And I think that, one of the lessons I've learned is that it's not what you do, it's how you do it. And I think a lot of people understand that, but it's important not to judge things. Somebody may be an alcoholic for years, and their solution might be to drink a glass of wine every 6 months. That they find more power in that than just cutting something off. And, those are really interesting and unique perspectives, but to really have control over something, I think, or to be empowered, is to be able to dictate for yourself when you can and cannot do something based on your own balance and your own needs, and being aware of that in yourself. So I guess what I'm saying is that you might be seeing aspects of yourself that you want to change, but don't mark them as the devil, so to say. Don't label and judge them. Look at it for what it is. If we start removing the colors of certain crayons in our color pack, we may not use them much, but every once in a while you might need that funky little orange color just for that little part. And when we cut things off in our lives, so we judge them, we no longer have access to those tools. And you never know when you might need those tools. So your outcome is the King of Pentacles. So you're going from a king of swords, the mind. You've recovered your mind and are getting clear in your mind and how you function in your mind. And ultimately, as you do that, it's going to start creating a foundation for you in your resources and create resources that create strength and put roots in the ground for you moving forward. So you might be in more of a mental space right now, coming to terms with the mind and how to manage that. But ultimately, as you focus on the body, get more clear about, really start working through some of these muscular tensions in these subconscious realms, is that and work through and create balance with things of the world, that ultimately you'll create a foundation for yourself moving forward. So overall, I think it's a really beautiful reading, and Virgos, I just think that you're in just a really, really beautiful space right now, and that this is to be easy on yourself as you go through a process, understanding that everything is temporal, and that you will come to achieve your greatest desires in the sense of your highest expression. So I'll leave you at that, and this is kind of your spiritual holiday message, to really bring that spirit into your life. So become a blessing to yourself by being a blessing to others. I hope you guys have a great holiday, and I'll see you soon.